Hello and welcome to Nullitaire Gaming, where we play games with 0 players. In other words, we play bots against one another. In this series, we've been playing Imperium, both Classics and Legends, by Nigel Buckle and David Tercey. And we've been putting all the factions up against each other tournament style. If you haven't seen any of the previous videos in this series, I recommend going back and starting at the beginning. I'll put a link to the entire playlist in the description of this video if you would like to do that. But here's where we are right now. We've played the entire first round. And the Arthurians, the Egyptians, the Persians, the Atlanteans, the Olmecs, the Macedonians, the Jin, and the Celts have made it through to the next round. So now we're going to play the second round, starting with the Arthurians and the Egyptians. Okay, let's set it up. Okay, the game is now set up. As usual, I randomly decided who would be the first player. It's going to be the Egyptians. So their deck is here, and their hand is there. And the Arthurians will be the second player. Their deck is here, and their hand is there. As usual, I put post-it notes over the charts that I don't want to accidentally look at, so that I can make sure I'm focusing on the right charts. So that's what those post-its are all about. Also, the Arthurians set up a little bit differently than other factions. For one thing, this card is removed from the game, King Arthur's Court. They're always barbarians, so you'll notice they do not have, well, you can't notice because this is covering it. But this is a different faction down here, the Atlanteans. Anyway, the Arthurians do not have an empire chart because they can never be an empire. Okay, so they'll be barbarians throughout the game. Also, they have 2 decks. Instead of a single dynasty deck, they have a dynasty deck here, and they also have an impending quest deck. Of course, the quest for the Grail. So the bottom cards are turned right side up in these decks. So I just push them up a little bit so that I can remember which deck is which. This is the impending quest deck, and this is the dynasty deck. Okay, so I'll be able to tell that easily. Alright, that's it. Let's get going. The Egyptians start by rolling a 5, and their first card is Nile Valley, a region. That's also pinned. Okay, so not fame, not glory, not by barbarian. Here's a region. Gain 1 population, play this region, exile a card from the market. As always, whenever bots exile a card from the market, they always choose the card furthest on the left that doesn't have any tokens on it. In this case, it'll be Cape. Next card for the Egyptians is another region, Lower Nile. So I think we're going to have a repeat. Yep. Gain a population, play the region, exile a card. This time they exile Monument. Next card is Glory. There's a named card here for the Egyptians. If able, abandon 3 regions to gain the top fame card. Nope, they haven't quite got to 3 regions yet. They only have 2 in play. Otherwise, if able, acquire a civilized card. Yes, they can do that. Only one civilized card in the market, and that's Metropolis, so they will acquire that, along with the Unrest and the Progress. And as always, those both go right on top of their deck, with the Unrest on top. Next card is Prosperity, which is also a named card for them. Discard the top card from the bot deck. Gain 1 material and 1 population per played region. They have 2 regions in play, so they'll get 2 of each. And you may draw a card. Okay, so as always, when it says you in bold on these charts, that's referring to the solitaire player, because these were written for solitaire play. But for us, in Nullitaire play, we have to reinterpret that. So that will mean for us that the other bot draws a card, but of course bots don't have a hand of cards to draw into, so that means that they'll just discard a card. So this is telling us that the Arthurians are forced to discard a card. Okay, that's it for the Egyptians. They'll place Progress on the 5 card in the market. This card will slide down, and they will refill their hand. The Arthurians now also roll a 5, and they begin with also a region, Britannia Prima. Okay, so that is not fame. It's not whatever that is. Twith, I guess. Okay. Region. Exile a card from the market and play this region. So they will exile the Scythians. Here's King Arthur, which has that knight icon on it right there. I think that's the only icon it has, yeah. If able, abandon a region to acquire a region. Yeah, they can do that. They just put a region into play, so they can abandon it and acquire another one. Otherwise, break through. Okay, so they're going to do the first thing, abandon the region to acquire a region. Okay, to abandon a region is simply to take it and put it in the discard. So there we go. And they'll acquire this new region, Highlands. Next card is Morgana, which is an attack card. It's the only icon on it, so that'll be here. If able, put a knight from discard into history to gain the top impending quest. Well, I know there is a knight card in their discard because King Arthur just went in there. Otherwise, put the card into history and place the top card from the Dynasty deck into the discard pile. Take unrest, and you take unrest. Alright, well they're going to do the first thing. Put a knight from discard into history to gain the top impending quest, and then they'll have to do these last two. Both bots will have to take unrest. So King Arthur is now in the history, under that card. And the Arthurians are going to gain the top card of the impending quest deck. And I had the same question last time I played the Arthurians. I actually had to go back and rewatch part of the video from the first video from this series to remind myself what gain means in this case. Because it says they're going to gain the top impending quest card. And I had now and back then I had the same question, like what does gain mean? Do they put this in their discard pile, or do they put it on top of their deck? Because this is unusual. The Arthurians are unusual here, right? They're the only faction that has this deck. Anyway, I had to go back and rewatch the previous video to remind myself. And so I had looked on Board Game Geek for an answer then, and Nigel Buckle, who designed this game, had answered that question, and the official answer is it goes on top of the deck. Okay. So gaining the next impending quest means put it on top of the deck. And now both bots have to take unrest, and take also means put on top of the deck. So they'll both get some unrest. Next card is a Knight, Sir K. If able, abandon a region to acquire a region. No, the Arthurians don't have any more regions in play. Otherwise, just break through for an uncivilized card. Okay, they can do that. In the market, we see two uncivilized cards. So they go with the one that's worth the most. This one has an asterisk, which means it's worth 5. And this one also has an asterisk, which means it's worth 5. And they don't have any progress tokens on them, so it's 5 each. Okay, first tiebreaker then is the most tokens. They both have 0. Second tiebreaker is whichever one is furthest to the left, in the lowest spot. So it will be agriculture. Since they're breaking through, they will not take the unrest. Simply put that on top of their deck. Okay, that's the end of the turn for the Arthurians. They'll place progress on the 5 card in the market. Slide this down and refill their hand. The Egyptians now start with by rolling a 3. Unrest is the first card. That will simply go back to the unrest pile. Next card is Metropolis, which is pinned, and Empire. Let's see. Not fame, not glory, not barbarian, not a region, pinned. Gain a popularity. Sorry, population. Gain 1 population. Discard the top card of the bot deck and put this card into history. Next card is Egyptian Incursion, which is attack and barbarian card. I think barbarian is first, yeah. If able, spend 2 population to acquire a region. Yes, they can definitely do that. Otherwise, if able, spend 2 materials to acquire a civilized or uncivilized card. Otherwise, just discard the top card from the bot deck. Okay, and then this card goes into history. So, they will do the first thing, spend 2 population to acquire a region, and then the last thing, put this card into history. The only region in the market is the famous Egyptian jungle. So they'll take that. Last card for the Egyptians is Advance, which is a barbarian card. Yeah. Okay. So same thing as last card. Spend 2 population to acquire a region. Yes, they can do it again, and then this card will go into history. Now they'll take that famous Egyptian snow-capped mountain. Okay, that's the end of the Egyptians' turn. They'll put progress on the 3 card. Slide that down and refill their hand. The Arthurians start this time by rolling a 4, and the first card is Sir Percival, a knight. Okay, so if able, abandon a region to acquire a region. Nope, they don't have any regions in play. So they'll break through for an uncivilized card. There are 2 in the market right now. This leadership is only worth 1. Oracle is worth 5, so they're going to break through for that. Next card is Agriculture, which is uncivilized and pinned. So going down the list, we see pinned first. Discard the top card of the bot deck if able. Yes, they can do that. Return unrest from the discard if able. Otherwise, gain 1. Okay, so I'll have to look and see if they have any unrest in their discard pile. I don't think they do, but I'll have to check that. Okay, they did not have any unrest, so they gained progress instead. Okay, so next card is Unrest. That will simply go back to the unrest pile. And the last card for the Arthurians is Highlands, a region card. Exile a card and then play this card. They will exile the Persians. That's the end of the turn for the Arthurians, so they'll place progress on the 4 card and refill their hand. The Egyptians roll a 5, and they start their turn with Flood of the Nile. It doesn't have any markings on it at all, so I think we're going to end up at Other here, at the bottom of the chart. Okay, yeah. Get all the way to the bottom. Okay, if able, abandon a, I guess that's a water region, to acquire civilized or uncivilized card. Yeah, they can do that. They have 2 regions in play, both River Valley and Lower Nile, which both have those water icons on them. Okay, so they can do that. They'll abandon 1. Otherwise, discard the top 2 cards on the bot deck and gain 2 materials. They're not going to do that. Put this card into history. Okay, so they'll abandon the Lower Nile. That's the last region that was put into play. They'll abandon that by putting it in their discard pile. And they'll acquire a civilized or uncivilized card. Okay, so this one's worth 5, that one's worth 3, that one's worth 2. So they'll take exports. And they're acquiring it, so they have to take the unrest as well. Put it on top of their deck. Okay. Here's that Egyptian mountain. Okay, so it's a region. Gain 1 population, play the region, exile a card. They will exile religion. And here's that Egyptian jungle. Alright, so same thing. Gain a population, play the region, exile a card. This time they exile lakes. Last card for the Egyptians is Egyptian hieroglyphics, which is a pinned card. So we'll go to pinned. Gain a population, discard the top card of the deck, and put this card into history. Okay, the Egyptians finish their turn, so they place progress on the 5 card. Slide that down, and they'll refill their hand. But they only have 1 card left in hand, so they need to refill the rest of their deck. They'll take a card off the Dynasty deck, put it in discard, and shuffle. The Arthurians roll a 3, and they start with Sir Lancelot, the knight. And so they will abandon a region to acquire a region. Yes, they can do that. They have 1 region in play, so that's what they'll do. There are 2 regions in the market. Floodplain's worth nothing, and Sacred Pass is worth 2, so they'll take that. Next card is Kafal. Okay, that doesn't have any icons on it at all, so we're going to get all the way down to Other. Acquire any card. and put this card into history. Alright, so they'll just take the most valuable card in the market right now. This is 0, that's 2, that's 3, that's 1, that's 0. Okay, so they'll take education. Acquire that. Here's Merlin now, another knight card. They don't have a region in play, so they can't do that. So they're going to break through for an uncivilized card. Well, there are 2 in the market. This one's worth 1, this one's worth 2. So they're going to take that one. So if they're breaking through, they leave the unrest. Last card for the Arthurians is a region, Britannia Secunda. Okay, so exile a card from the market and play this card. So they will exile the floodplain. Alright, that's the end of the turn for the Arthurians. They will put a progress on the 3 card. Slide this down and refill their hand. The Egyptians' turn again. They roll a 4 and start with some unrest. And then exports, which is attack and empire. Okay, it's not pinned. I guess it's other in this case. Yeah, okay. If able, abandon a water region to acquire a civilized or uncivilized card. Yeah, they can do that. They have Nile Valley in play. Otherwise, they won't do that. Okay, and then this card will go into history. So they're going to acquire mercenaries. It's worth 6. Next card is unrest. So back to the pile. And then the last card is glory, which is named here. If able, abandon 3 regions. No, they only have 2 regions now, so they can't do that. Otherwise, acquire a civilized card. Yeah, they could do that. This one's worth 1. That's worth 5. That's worth 2. Okay, so they're going to take money lenders, which is worth 5. Okay, that's the end of their turn. They'll place progress and refill their hand. The Arthurians roll a 3, and their first card is Guinevere. Okay, which doesn't have any icons on it at all. And she doesn't count as a knight. So I guess we're all the way down at other. Okay, acquire any card, and then this card will go into history. Well, all the cards in the market are pretty low value. This one's 1, 1, 2. This one has the question mark, which means we take the highest value listed there, which in this case is just 1. So that's worth 2 for the progress. That's worth nothing. Okay, so these are tied for the highest with 2. So first tiebreaker is the most tokens, so they'll take Jade Mask. The next card is City, which is pinned. That'll be here. Discard the top card of the bot deck if able. They can do that. Return unrest from the discard if able. I'll have to check. Otherwise, gain a progress. Well, of course, they just acquired an unrest card, and so it was on top of the deck. Now it's in discard, so now it's returned. Next card is Education, which is Empire. It's here. I don't think anything else is relevant. No. Alright, gain 1 progress and put this card into history. Last card for the Arthurians, Sacred Pass, which is a region. Exile a card, play the region. They will exile Invasion. Okay, that's the end of the turn for the Arthurians. They'll play Progress on the 3 card and refill their hand. I don't think they have enough cards. They only have 1 to do it. So they're going to take a card from the Dynasty deck, put it in their discard, and shuffle. Okay, the Egyptians roll 3. And they start with the region card, Lower Nile. So gain a population, play the region, exile a card. They will exile Domestication. Next card is Unrest. And then more Unrest. Okay. And lastly, Mercenaries, which is an Empire card. I don't think they care about that here. No. Okay, so other. If able, abandon a water region. They have 1, Lower Nile, to acquire a civilized or uncivilized card, and then this card will go into history. Onager is worth the most in the market, so they will acquire that. It's the end of the Egyptian turn. They'll place progress on the 3 card and refill their hand. The Arthurians now begin their turn by rolling a 4 and start with Unrest, and then Jade Mask, which has no icons on it except this mask icon. I don't think they care about that. Oh, well, it is uncivilized though, so we get down to here, I think. Yeah. Breakthrough for an uncivilized card. Put this card into history, and the opposing bot gains a progress. Oh, interesting. Okay, so the Arthurians will break through for a uncivilized card. Jade Mask will go into history, and then the Egyptians will get a progress. The uncivilized card in play that's worth the most is Town, so they'll break through for that. Next card is Oracle, another uncivilized card, but also Barbarian. Looks like they don't care about Barbarian here. Okay, so we're probably going to have a repeat of the last card. Yep, uncivilized. Breakthrough for an uncivilized card, put this card into history, and give the Egyptians another progress. This time the 2 uncivilized cards are equal in value. They both have 0 progress tokens, so they'll take the lower one. Here's Sir Lancelot again. Another knight card. If able, abandon a region to acquire a region. Yes, they can do that. They have 2 regions in play, so that's what they'll do. There are 2 regions in play. They're both worth 0 points. They both have 0 tokens, so they'll take the lower one, the one in the lowest spot. That's the end of the turn for the Arthurians. They'll place progress on the 4 card and refill their hand. This time the Egyptians start by rolling a 6, so they're going to play all of their cards, starting with Moneylenders, okay, which is an Empire card, and Civilized. So I think we're going to get to Other here. Yeah. If able, abandon a water region to acquire a civilized or uncivilized card. Well, they don't have a water region in play. They only have mountain and jungle right now. So, discard the top 2 cards from the bot deck and gain 2 materials. And then Moneylenders will go into history. Next card is Unrest. And then Onager, which is Attack and Empire. Neither of which I think are on here. There's not much on this chart, really. They end up going to Other quite often. Alright, so again, they can't abandon a water region. They don't have one. So discard the top 2 cards, gain 2 to gain 2 materials, and this card will go to history. Next card is Boring Old Unrest again. And then last card, well, what do you know? More Boring Unrest. Okay, they don't place any progress because they rolled a 6. They'll just refill their hand, but their deck is empty. Therefore, take the top Dynasty deck, cards in the Dynasty deck, and reshuffle. Now the Arthurians say, oh yeah, we could do that too. And they also roll a 6. So they're going to play all their cards, starting with Vivian of the Lake, okay, which is a region. Alright, it's a region. So exile a card and then play this region. They will exile Hittites. Next card is another region, Forest. So a repeat, I think. Exile a card, play the region. This time they'll exile Corruption. Next card is Leadership, which doesn't have any icons on it, but it is an uncivilized card. So I think we'll get to here. Okay. Breakthrough for an uncivilized card, put this card into history, and give a progress to the Egyptians. There's only one uncivilized card in the market, that's Code of Laws, so they will break through for that. Next card is Town, which is pinned and Barbarian. I think we'll get to pinned here. Discard the top card of the bot deck if able. Sure, can do that. Return Unrest from discard if able, otherwise gain a progress. Not sure about the Unrest, I'll have to check. They did not have any Unrest in their discard pile, so they gained a progress instead. Okay, Sir Percival is the next card, a knight card. So, if able, abandon a region to acquire a region. Yes, they can do that. So that's what they're going to do. The only region in the market is Coast, so they will take that. That's the end of the turn for the Arthurians. Since they rolled a 6, they won't place any progress. They'll just refill their hand. Okay, back to the Egyptians' turn. They roll a 3. Start with Lower Nile, a region card. So they'll gain a population, play the region, exile a card. They will exile the Chin. Next card is Glory. If able, abandon 3 regions, and they have exactly 3 regions in play, to gain the top fame card. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to abandon all of these, and they'll take the top fame card right on top of their deck. Next card for the Egyptians is Prosperity, which is named on their chart. Discard the top card from the bot deck. Gain a material and a population per region. Well, they just abandoned all their regions, so they don't have any. And the opposing bot, the Arthurians, will discard a card. Last card for the Egyptians is Nile Valley, a region. So they will gain a population, play the region, and exile a card. They exile the Axumites. Okay, that's the end of the turn for the Egyptians. They place progress on the 3 card, and they would refill their hand. But they only have 1 card in their deck, so their deck's now empty. They take a dynasty card and shuffle. The Arthurians now start by rolling a 1, and their first card is a region, Britannia Prima. So they will exile a card and play this region. They exile the city. And it looks like we're going to have a repeat. Another region, the Highlands. So exile a card, play the region. Now they exile Etruscans. Next card is Agriculture, a pinned and uncivilized card. Pin comes first. Discard the top card of the bot deck if able. Yes, they can do that. Return unrest from discard, or otherwise gain a progress. They did not have any unrest in their discard pile, so they gained a progress. Here's Morgana again, attack card. Okay, so if able, put a knight from discard into history to gain the top impending quest. I think that is possible. Okay, and then both bots have to take unrest. Okay, that's the end of the turn for the Arthurians. They place progress on the 1 card, and they refill their hand. Okay, back to the Egyptians. They roll a 2 and start with unrest. And then Red Land, a region card. Okay, so they're going to gain a population, play the region, and exile a card. So bots always exile the first card from the left that does not have a token on it. So they're going to skip over Peninsula, and they will exile Assyrians. Next card is Prosperity, which is a named card here. Discard the top card from the bot deck. Gain 1 material and 1 population per played region. The Egyptians have 2 regions in play, so they'll get 2 of each. And then the Arthurians will discard the top card of their deck as well. Okay, last card is the Jungle, a region card. Gain a population, play the region, exile a card. They will exile Pharmacy. Okay, that's the end of their turn. They'll place progress on the 2 card and refill their hand. The Arthurians roll a 6. They're going to play all their cards again, starting with a region, the coast. So they will exile a card from the market and play this card. They will exile Elders. Next card is Unrest. And then Taliesin the Bard. Okay, which is a barbarian card. Don't think anything else is relevant before that. No. Okay. Gain a population, put this card in history. Easy. Here's Uther Pendragon, who has no icons on that card at all. So we're going to go all the way down here to Other. Acquire any card and put this card into history. The card worth the most in the market right now is Watermill, so they will acquire that. Last card is Sir Kay, the Knight card. If able, abandon a region to acquire a region. Yes, they can do that. So they'll do that. they will acquire Peninsula. That's it for the Arthurian turn. They don't place progress because they rolled a 6. They'll just refill their hand. They ran out of cards before they could refill their hand, so take another card from the Dynasty deck and shuffle. Now back to the Egyptians, who roll a 2 and play the Cushites. Cushites. Okay, which is a barbarian card. Okay. If able, spend 2 population to acquire a region. Yes, they can do that. Otherwise, blah, blah, blah. Otherwise, blah, blah, blah. Okay, then this card goes into history. The only region in the market is Fortunate Isle, so they will acquire that. Next card is a Fame card, Outstanding. So they will discard the top card from the bot deck and put this card into history. Next card is a region, Mountain. So they will gain a population, play the region, exile a card. They will exile the Armenians. Here's another region, Lower Nile. So we'll repeat, gain a population, play the region, exile a card. They will exile Metropolis. Okay, that's it for the Egyptians. They place progress on the 2 card. And they would refill their hand if they only had some cards in their deck. So, they take the top card from their Dynasty deck, which is their full moon card there, Unification. So they are now a empire. Okay, the Arthurians roll as 5, and they begin with a region, Peninsula. So, exile a card from the market and play this card. They will exile the Macedonians. Next card is Unrest. And then Watermill, a pinned and uncivilized card. Okay, discard the top card of the bot deck if able. Return any unrest. Return 1 unrest from discard if able, otherwise gain a progress. Okay, I'll have to check on that. Okay, they had no unrest in their discard, so they just gained progress. And the next card is Sir K, a knight. So if able, abandon a region to acquire a region. Yes, they can do that. So that's what they'll do. The only region in the market is River, so they will take that. That's it for the Arthurians. They'll place progress on the 5 card and refill their hand. Back to the Egyptians. They roll a 5 and start with Glory. Now they're using a different chart, so I've covered the Barbarian chart now, so I don't accidentally look at the wrong thing, which I'm prone to do. Okay, the Glory card is here. If able, abandon 3 regions to gain the top Fame card. Yes, they can do that. They have 4 regions in play. Otherwise, you discard a card. Okay, so they're going to do that. Abandon 3 regions, gain the top Fame card. Next card is Fortunate Isle, a region, but also Barbarian, which is first on their chart here. So they're going to do this. Discard the top card from the bot deck. Return an unrest from the discard if able, and put this card into history. And they did not have any unrest in their discard pile. Okay, next is Prosperity, which was a named card on their previous chart, but is not here. Okay, and it has no other icons on it, so other. Discard the top 2 cards from the bot deck. Put this card into history. Well, they don't have any cards in their deck, but still, this card can go to history, so that's what will happen. Last card is Unrest. Okay, so the Egyptians place progress on the 5 card, and they would refill their hand if they had any cards, which they don't. So, another card from the Dynasty deck, and they will shuffle. Okay, the Arthurians' turn now. They roll a 3 and start with the City card, which is a pinned card. So I think that's the first relevant thing, yeah. Okay, discard the top card of the bot deck if able. Yes, they can do that. Return unrest from the discard if able, otherwise gain progress. Not sure about that. Okay, still no unrest in their discard pile, so they took a progress. Okay, next card is River. Let's see. Region card, so they'll exile a card from the market and then play it. They will exile Island. Next card is Town, which is pinned and Barbarian. So I think pinned will be First thing, okay. Discard the top card of the bot deck if able. Yes, they can do that. Return Unrest or take a Progress. Okay, no Unrest again, so they took a Progress token. Forest, another region, so exile the card and then play this region. It will exile City. Okay, the main deck is now empty, so that triggers game end. What that means is this turn will finish out. It's basically over now. And then we'll play one more round. So the Egyptians will get one more turn, and the Arthurians will get one more turn. So essentially one more turn each once we finish this turn, which we might as well do right now. Okay, so the Arthurians will place Progress on the 3, slide that down, and they'll refill their hand. Yeah, they have enough cards. They can do it. Okay. On to the Egyptians. The Egyptians roll a 5. They play Unification. This doesn't have any symbols on it at all. So, yeah, we'll get all the way to Other. Discard the top 2 cards in the bot deck and put this card into history. Next card is Glory. So, if able, abandon 3 regions to gain the top Fame card. No, they can't do it this time. They only have 2 regions in play. Otherwise, you discard a card. Okay, so the Arthurians will discard a card. But the Arthurians don't have a card to discard, so they can't do that. Interesting. Okay, so nothing happened here. This doesn't do anything. So when that happens, we're supposed to carry on down the list here until we find the next relevant icon or name. Okay, but Glory doesn't have any icons on it, so I guess we'll go down to Other and do this. Discard the top 2 cards of the bot deck and put this card into history. Okay, so they'll do that. Well, they also don't have any cards in their deck, but this card can go to history, so that's what will happen. Okay, here's a Fame card, Notorious. So Fame, gain a Progress, spend all materials to gain the same number of population. Okay, they have quite a few materials, and put this card into history. So they have 8 materials. They're going to trade all of those in for 8 population. Last card in the game for the Egyptians will be the Egyptian Snowy Mountains. Alright, so your region, gain 1 population, play the region, exile a card. They will exile the city. That's it for the Egyptians for this game. They'll place Progress on the 5 card, slide this down, and refill their hand. But their deck is empty, so they'll take a Dynasty card and shuffle. But they still didn't have enough cards, so they take another Dynasty card, put it in their deck, deal it out. Okay. Okay, last chance for the Arthurians. They roll a 6, so they're going to play all of their cards, starting with Sir Percival, who is a knight. Okay, so if able, abandon a region to acquire a region. Yep, they can do that. Oh wait, never mind. There are no regions in the market, so they cannot do that, actually. Okay, so they're going to break through for a an uncivilized card. Well, there are some uncivilized cards in the market, so they can do that. This one's worth 1, this one's worth 4, so they're going to break through for that one. Next is Sacred Pass, another region. So once again, exile the card from the market, play the region. The only card in the market without any tokens is Diplomacy, so they will exile that. Next card is Agriculture, a pinned and uncivilized card. So discard the top card of the bot deck if able. Return Unrest from discard if able, otherwise gain a Progress. As usual, they had no Unrest, so they just gained Progress. Okay, another region. So exile a card from the market, play the region. They can't exile anything anymore because everything in the market has tokens on it. So they'll just play this region. Okay, last card of the game, and it's Morgana again. Who wants to put a knight into history to gain the next quest? Okay. Okay, and Morgana also forces both sides to take some unrest. So we did that as well. Okay, so that's it for Morgana. Because the Arthurians rolled a 6, they don't place any progress, they just refill their hand. They only have one card though. So play that card, and that means a new card from the Dynasty deck into discard, and they've got more than enough to fill their hand, so we'll call that the end of the game. Okay, now time to tally up the score and see who won. Okay, now to see who won. As usual, instead of just adding up a score to determine who won, I like to just do a one-for-one matching. And whoever has any victory points left at the end of the one-to-one matching is the victor. Okay, so 5 from this side and 5 from that side for progress. 3 from this side, 3 from that side. Okay, and every 10 population or materials counts as 1, so that's 2 from this side. And I'll have to make some change to get 2 from this side. Okay, so that should leave 8. One more. Okay, so that leaves the Arthurians with 9 in progress. Okay, so now let's get the cards and see how they stack up there. So first of all, we'll balance out the 9 victory points for progress with the Arthurians with 7 plus 2, 9 points from the Egyptians cards. Okay, so that clears that out. Okay, we also have to deal with some negative values. This card for the Arthurians is worth -4 points. So I've taken 4 points in victory points out of their deck. Okay, time for the final reckoning. As usual, I'm just going to go down the column here, and I've matched up cards by victory points, 1 for 1. Whoever runs out of victory points first is the loser. Here we go. Okay, these are all asterisk cards, so they're all worth 5 points each. I've matched them up 1 for 1 on both sides. Okay. These cards, question mark cards, are worth whatever the highest listed value is, so these are worth 2 points each, so that's 5. Matches up with the asterisk there. This is also worth 5 over here. 1, and then, okay. Well, the Arthurians ran out. No surprise, it seemed to me in the playing of the game that they were not doing as well as the Egyptians. But here's the final tally. The Egyptians win by 13. Yeah, 13 points. Okay. Well, there you have it. The Egyptians are the victors. Here are the official results. The Egyptians win. The Arthurians are now knocked out. Okay. Next game will be Persians versus Atlanteans. Hope you'll join me then.